The meeting will come to order. This is Adventures Abridged. My name is Zach. The story you're about to hear was created almost entirely by improvisation during a Dungeons & Dragons campaign over the course of 2 years, and at the time of this recording, that same adventure is still taking place. You don't need to know anything about D&D to be able to enjoy this story. But if you want to see the gameplay where it was developed in real time, you can find all of our sessions on YouTube and in podcast form via the links in the description. The Nobodies, Chapter 5. Kess, Q, Pearce, and Augustus stood on a cliff overlooking the still-flooded Evercrest. The sun was low in the sky, and traces of the night air still lingered on the lifting mist. Only now were they able to truly realize that their noses had become accustomed to the smell of seawash and decay. They stood before a modest barn, unassuming, unpainted, and undecorated. Without a word, Pearce shoved open the door. Inside, rows upon rows of kegs and vats were arranged with alarming efficiency. The smell of hops was bright, bitter, and overpowering, but not entirely unpleasant. "Hello," came a voice. "Xefi told me you would be coming." She moved with the silence of the dead. When they finally saw the being which accompanied the voice, none of them were able to conceal some sort of reaction. Q screeched and dove behind a keg. Pearce instinctively drew a pistol. Augustus took a large step backwards, and Kess only gasped, stricken by her beauty. A large snake, deep green with yellow and white diamonds on her chest, stood before them. She was at least 6 feet tall, with another 6 feet of tail dragging on the ground behind her, and her voice was as smooth as Mardostan silk. "I'm a friend," she reassured them, "especially if you are here to help Xefi." "What's your name?" Kess asked, the only one of the four to actually step forward. "I am Simi. And you are?" "Late is what they are. Who wants to try a new recipe?" The sound of Xefi's voice next to that of Simi's was like a crystal chandelier being struck by a train. She rolled a keg into the middle of the floor. "This here's Halfling stout. I think it's just about ready to ship out, if I'm being honest." "It certainly is stout," Kess said, coughing and holding the stein away from her. Pearce, however, filled his to the brim. "So why are we here, Xena?" he asked. "Not much for foreplay, are we? Alrighty then, here's the deal." Xefi leaped and sat on top of the keg. "What's going on here in Evercrest ain't no isolated incident. I believe I might have mentioned that in our meeting yesterday." "There were other waves like that?" asked Augustus. "Not quite, but there's some weird shit happening all over the place. And not just here on the Isles, neither. That wave that's done turned Evercrest into a damn cattle pond is only the start of something. There's been talk of freak storms, weird magic, peaceful places going to hell in a handbasket without so much as a moment's notice. People dying left and right. I ain't got a damn clue how, but I aim to find out what it is. And I want y'all to help me." "But why us?" Q asked. Kess sighed. "And what do you want us to do? We're hardly mercenaries. We don't even know each other." "Well, sometimes you gotta trust who your gut tells you to." She pointed to Kess. "I seen that one there save a critter stuck in a trap. I asked the right people in the wrong circles about what kind of damage Pearce Goodblood can do with them things on his hip, and I like the way the turtle talks. Plus, the kid over yonder reminds me of a puppy." "A delicious puppy?" "That makes me like you less." "I assume you have something specific you'd like for us to do for you?" Augustus said. "Perhaps on some kind of trial basis?" "Matter of fact, there is. Simi here is a guardian naga, old as they come and damn near unkillable. Axe one of them and they'll just come right back to life a few days later." "Even if the body is, like, exploded or something?" "I've been killed only twice," Simi said. "The first time I was fed to a pack of wild displacer beasts. But alas, I am here." "That's upsetting to me," said Q. What's upsetting, little guy, is the fact that they're all disappearing. A year ago, there was a dozen or more guardian Naga on the Isles, each of them guarding something or other. Now, it's just Simi and one other. Nobody knows where they went, but I'm afraid some dickhead is clearing the path of anybody stronger than they are. Where's the other? Kess asked. Guarding something that might be of particular interest to you, Kess Shadowmoor, Simi said. What is believed to be the original Lifewell. Kess's eye twitched. Now, as far as the specifics are concerned, I'll give you an advance for equipment. There's 4 horses tied up behind the barn waiting to be named. Meat! Meat! I'm calling mine Meat! Q said. I swear on my daddy's grave, y'all better not let him eat that damn horse. It was nearing nightfall. The fledgling adventurers had accepted their horses and their advances, and now sat at what looked to be little more than a flooded ruin. Kess had wanted to see what was left of the Wellkeeper's temple, where she'd lived since arriving on the island. Kess had always thought the word temple to be a bit of a misnomer. There wasn't actually any place of worship. This was more like a convent, wherein the Wellkeepers lived and meditated and studied. At least, it had been. After the wave, the temple's grounds were unrecognizable. Kess walked through the carnage, not looking too carefully at the rubble, for fear that she'd see something she could never unsee. In the middle of the grounds, at one of the few life wells that actually had a stone structure built around it, sat Ethis, a young man that Kess had come to be friends with. Ethis was lanky, mousy, and typically fast-talking and excitable. But now, he was silent. Barefoot, sitting on the circular wall and staring down into the well. He looked up, his face forlorn and swollen from hours of crying. I've been sitting here for 16 hours and 11 minutes, he said. Kess approached, stepped over the wall, and sat by Ethis. When she looked into the well, her stomach dropped. The mysterious essence, the Lifewell water that had filled it before the wave, was all but gone. Only a tiny glimmer of pink and blue in the bottom of the well could be seen in the moonlight. It's like this everywhere. They've all been drained, Ethis said. That's impossible, Kess responded. Where did it go? Ethis's breath quickened. Did you see them? The things that came out of the wells. I was almost caught by one, she responded. I think they did it. A long silence followed. Augustus fidgeted. Do you want a snack? You've been sitting here for a very long time. I'll find you a snack. The turtle dropped to his knee and searched through a knapsack. I've always thought you were the bravest person I've ever met, Ethis said to Kess. Me? She responded. Me? What? Why? You left your home. I won't ask why, but it has to say something about you that you left everything and traveled so far in search of whatever you were in search of. These wells are all I've ever known. I was left here as a baby. Everyone in my life... He paused. A tear fell from his chin. I've not been in the houses yet. But I've been sitting here for 16 hours and 14 minutes now. You're the only one who's come back. That means you and I and that little puddle in there are all that's left of the Wellkeepers. I have macarons, Augustus chimed, pulling a wrapped package from his sack. Does anyone want macarons? Ethis, Kess stuttered. I'm so sorry, but I can't stay here. I've taken a job. Something that hopefully will help explain some of these things that have happened. Ethis said nothing. He only nodded. Tell me this, Pearce said. Kess jumped. It would take her a while to remember that she wasn't traveling alone anymore. What does that stuff actually do? No one knows, really, Ethis said. It's more philosophical than scientific. To me, meditating with it feels like the essence of life itself. There are no answers to find, really, just the sensation of living. So go, Kess. Go out and learn what you can. Well-keepers have always operated under the idea of understanding your place among the forces that bind us. If you can find out anything that makes any of this make sense, then maybe the well-keepers can go on, after all. This concludes Chapter 5 of The Nobodies. This is a production of Adventures Unabridged. The ongoing story of The Nobodies can be found via links in the description. New episodes of Adventures Abridged are available every other Monday. Meeting adjourned.